Isuku, founder and CEO of Y2K Credit Solutions, consumer credit expert. Let's dive into the difference between U.S. Department of Education, Navient, and all the updates that are going on. So, before I start off the video, I wanted to give you guys, I was going to freelance the definition or the role that Department of Education plays and Navient plays. But then I thought about it. I'm like, all right, I don't want to freelance because I may use some terms that may go over your head that you may not even understand what I'm talking about. So I am going to give you guys the textbook definition of Department of Education and Navient. So most loans were issued by Department of Education. Department of Education is a government program that funds student loans. Navient is a servicing company that services the loan on behalf of Department of Education. Okay, so Navient also does, they don't issue student loans. Navient does not issue student loans, but they do offer you the option to refi your federal loans to Navient. That's what they offer you. Okay, so they don't offer student loans, they just service the loans on behalf of Department of Education. Now, we recently found out some information because we've had quite a few clients that were working on a student loan situation because they're trying to purchase a home and their student loan is astronomical and it's affecting them from getting a pre-approval. So we're servicing that on them. So U.S. Department of Education, a government company, government funding company that provides student loans. They fund student loans for students that go to college. Navient is a servicing company. Now, as of post-COVID, it's actually in 2022, in September, Navient no longer services federal student loans. And this is where confusion is coming in because a lot of you guys are waiting for the Biden forgiveness. Okay? A lot of you guys are waiting for Biden forgiveness, and a lot of you guys transferred your student loans. Remember, Navient offers refinancing student loans, right? They don't offer student loans. A lot of you guys, because in pre-COVID, a lot of your student loans were in deferment. You kept deferring it because you guys weren't finding a job, whatever the case may be. So you kept extending that deferment, 6 months to a year and a half, 2 years, and you started having insane amount of interest add on to the student loan. For example, if you took out a student loan of $30,000, right, and you kept deferring it without payment, let's say interest rate was 7.2%, now you owe $38,000 because of all this interest that you guys keep accumulating because you deferred the loan and you're not making payments. Okay, so here's some key tips I want to talk about before we get into the video and dive into this topic. Most federal loans serviced by Department of Navient, most federal loans that were serviced by Navient are now transferred to Advantage, AIDVANTAGE. So if you have a student loan that was servicing by Navient, it's now transferred to Advantage, which is very important because you guys need to make sure you know who's servicing your new loan, and now that payments are restarted, if you don't make the payments or commit the payment, it's going to start reporting 30, 60, 90 days late on your credit report. Second thing is, it is still a private loan, and some FFELP loans provided private loans refinancing. So it's still a private loan, even though you're servicing, it was the Department of Education transferred to Navient. Next thing I want you to go is that of what I want to talk about. So let me actually dive into the topic. I know that the video is a little confusing. It's a little confusing topic, and it was confusing for me as well. Not so much confusing, but because of all the changes that went on is what's confusing. So the Department of Education, federal government agency, is responsible for overseeing various aspects of education policies and funding in the United States. Department of Education loans are known as federal student loans, are provided directly by the U.S. Department of Education. Again, those loans were provided by the Department of Education, right? So the terms and the condition of your student loans are varies. Everyone's student loan education terms and condition are varies. Okay, so you want to make sure that you call the Department of Education to find out what's going on with your loan. But here's what I really want to talk to you guys about. That was just definition of what really Department of Education role is and Navient role is. Advantage, also Mohilia, a lot of loans. Federal Department of Education are now sending their loans to Mohilia to service because Navient is no longer servicing Department of Education loan. All right. So two things you need to know: Department of Education is a federal government that issued the student loans. Prior to COVID, Navient was servicing the loans. Navient does not give student loans, but they do give you the option to refi your student loans. Now, post-COVID, Navient is no longer servicing Department of Education student loan. It's going to Advantage, right? Now, that's the loans that Navient hold in their portfolio prior to pre-COVID. Now, Department of Education, the loans that they have left in their portfolio is being serviced by Mohilia. So two different servicing company now, okay? So here's the problem though. Let me explain to you. When you guys started college, right? First you applied for financial aid. Financial aid. So you applied for financial aid and you got X amount of dollars. X dollars, okay? Then there was a balance left for your tuition. So your tuition was Y dollars. Y dollars. Now, you could have either paid this out of pocket, or applied for Department of Education, which is what every single person did. That's why we have Department of Education loan. So let's go over this again. You went to college, you applied for college, you applied for financial aid, you got X dollars, whatever that number would have been. Then you had a balance left, so you didn't want to pay it out of pocket, you couldn't pay it, or your parents was not able to pay it for you. So now you applied for a loan from the Department of Education, you got funded here. So now when you got funded here, you have, this is covered by, financial is covered. Now you have the student loan that you're responsible for when you graduate college. Now when you graduate college, you have 6 months before payments go active, right? Now here comes 6 months come around and you haven't found a job yet. So you're not able to make your payments. Or you found a job, but the income wasn't what you were looking for. It wasn't enough income for you to sustain your day-to-day living, your bills, and pay student loans. So you kept deferring the loans. You put it into hardship forbearance, right? Now, in hardship forbearance, you did it for 6 months, a year, or 2 years. Most of you did it for 2 years. What was happening is that while it's deferred, you are still accumulating interest, which is why when you look at your credit report or you look at the statement from the Department of Education, your loan is more than what you took out. That's because of the compounding interest, right? Now, your payments, Department of Education said, all right, we're going to have Navient service the loan. Navient service the loan. However, if you guys paid attention, when these loans, and a lot of you guys did not pay attention, and this is how it happened. While you kept deferring your student loan with the Department of Education, and this happened around 2018 actually, when you kept deferring your loans and the numbers were going so high, your balance was going so high, you did have an option to refi the loan because they did have an offer in 2017-18 to refi your loan to a new servicer. Most of you did that. So you took it out of the Department of Education and you Navient came into play and you refied the loan without even knowing what you were doing, right? So you refied the loan. Now Navient had the loan, and remember, Navient offered you options to refi the loan to them. Navient does not offer you loans, okay? Student loans right off the bat, just like how the Department of Education offers that. Navient does not offer that to you. So you refi the loan to Navient, and then you continue going to deferment, right? Now you have COVID. COVID came about and student loans were put on hold, right? You didn't have to make no payments, no interest were accruing. That was for the government loan held by U.S. Department of Education. That was not for Navient private loan. That's where you guys are getting confused. Navient private student loans were not in the COVID deferment space. They were not qualified. They were not involved. COVID deferment was only for U.S. Department of Education loan. Only U.S. Department of Education loan. All of this information I'm telling you guys, you can find it on studentaid.gov. STUDIENTAID, studentaid.gov. All of this information I'm telling you guys, including the notes that I made for myself, are on that website and Navient's website. Okay? Now, here's what happened. COVID happened, like we said. You were able to defer. No payments were due. No interest were being tacked on. It was deferred. However, Navient was not. You were still responsible to make monthly payments. Interest still accrued on the loan. And that's the confusion where you guys are coming about. Now, Biden is passing these laws, apparently. He's going to forgive something billion loans or millions loans, whatever the case is. That is only for student loan. What he is not telling you is that if you go on the studentaid.gov website, there is a lot of criteria for your loan to be forgiven. There is a forgiveness program. Navient is not included in the forgiveness program, guys. Navient is not included in the forgiveness programs. Payments did not stop. Interest did not stop. And Navient was not included in the COVID payment plan, whatever you want to call it, right? Navient was not, and that's where the confusion is coming in now. So, a lot of you guys have loans here, and you're waiting to see if this is going to be forgiven by Biden. It's not. It is not. It says it on the website. It is not part of that plan. Only Department of Education. However, this is where it becomes tricky. If you apply, you can still apply for forgiveness, by the way, but you have to go to the Department of Education website, and it has a list of companies or industry or careers that are eligible for the forgiveness. Two things I want you to pay attention here. If you are eligible for the forgiveness, you have to make 120 payments before it's forgiven. That's for everyone. Everyone. You have to make 120 payments before you're considered forgiven. Secondly, your career, or let's say you work in a hospital, that hospital has to be listed on the student aid government website as one of the schools that participate in the program. Not every company you work for or career is going to be qualified. So you have to go to that website. Now, Department of Education made it a little harder. If you actually didn't make it a little harder, it made it a little easier actually. If when you get your W-2 on your paycheck, your W-2, you know, the stub that you get, you could take the company's EIN, which is on everyone's W-2, plug it into the Department of Education website or studentaid.gov, and it will tell you if your company qualifies or your career qualifies or you qualify for forgiveness. All right, so that's two things you can do. Now, so remember, forgiveness, you can do, this will be serviced by this company, no longer being serviced. Payments are deferred. You can do the 100, if you qualify for forgiveness, 120 months of payments, or 120 payments have to be made before the balance is forgiven. Okay? Now let's get over to Navient. Navient, again, you guys thought it was going to be including the Biden forgiveness or whatever, Biden law, the law that Biden is passing, and that's not happening. It was never going to be involved in that program. It was never included in that program, I should say. So a lot of you guys were waiting. Why? While you're accumulating interest and your balances are going up. Here's the tricky thing about this though. If you're trying to buy a home and you have and this is a real story that's happening with a client, how we got into all this situation with a client. This is a risk scenario, and this is happening to everyone. If you're trying to buy a home and you have a Navient loan on your credit report and it's 30, 60, 90 days late, you pass through $4,000. You pass through $4,000. Navient will run a scenario on you to see if they can bring the loan current and put it back into a monthly payment plan. Or if you qualify, that's you have to qualify. They don't do it automatically now. I don't know if this has changed post-COVID because now the students weren't getting paid and now these companies are becoming high risk. Kind of why it's happening. If you, let's say you pass through $4,000, I'm making this number up. Two things can happen. Navient could either, and this is if you're purchasing a home, how this is going to affect you? Well, it's going to affect you regardless, but you kind of need to take care of your student loans and get your student loans current. Navient is going to run two scenarios. One, you either qualify for them to bring the loan current and put you in a monthly payment plan based off of your current financial situation. So you can't tell them what your bills are. Navient requires certain financial documents from you in order to put you on a payment plan. Okay, that's one. Two, you have to bring this loan current $4,000, then go on a monthly payment plan. Those are the only two options Navient is giving you now. Okay, two. So you either qualify to bring the loan current and go on a monthly payment plan, or you pay the $4,000 to bring the loan current, then go into a monthly payment plan, which will also help you with your mortgage. And we talked about this on the last live with David about student loans. Okay. Here's something else I want to talk to you guys about. Now, here's a little hack, if you want to call it. I don't like to use the word hack, but here's a hack. We're actually in the process of doing it for a client now. If there is a potential way of getting the student loan back into the Department of Education and then seeing if you qualify for the forgiveness. Because remember, on the Navient, you qualify for nothing. That's not part of the forgiveness program. Remember that, okay? Navient, you do not get that, okay? However, there is a way of bringing this Navient loan back into the Department of Education and then try to apply for the forgiveness if your company is part of the list or if you qualify for it. However, it's a very long process, by the way. It's not an easy process, and it's very it's daunting. It's a lot. It requires a lot of documents, a lot of patience, a lot of back and forth with the Department of Education and Navient. It's not an easy process, not an overnight process. I'll tell you that right now, okay, guys? So, in order for you to get this loan back to the Department of Education where you can qualify, you have to bring the loan current. That's one. Two, then you have to apply. There's a form, an application you fill out on the Department of Education website. Tell them that you want to bring your loan, you want to refi your loan from Navient back into Department of Education. Now, if they approve your loan and you get to bring it back into Department of Education, which is the one that qualifies for the forgiveness under the Biden law and all that, so the Biden bill, then you can get it here. But there's a process. Okay? This is kind of confusing. I know, guys. Trust me. It is. But I wanted to talk about this because the client that we're working with right now, actually 3 clients we're working with, are in this situation. And they're doctors, but they thought that they qualified for the forgiveness. However, come to find out, they're a DDS, a dentist, they don't qualify. Okay? Or they don't qualify for forgiveness. However, that's their practice. If they worked, which I think they do work for a hospital as well, we're trying to see if the hospital is qualified under the Forgiveness Act for them to do the forgiveness, but they have to make 120 payments. So this is a difference in the Department of Education and Navient. It is kind of confusing, trust me, I know. And if you have this situation going on, give our office a call so we can schedule a consultation. We can have more of a one-on-one conversation with you. It's easier to explain it in a one-on-one conversation than to explain it in a whole big picture. I think it is, because there's a lot of moving parts with this student loan thing that's going on. Now, a lot of us are still waiting for the forgiveness. Biden is giving away, doing the Forgiveness Act is still going on. Biden just said he's doing, I think, another 17 mil or something like that in student loans he's giving away. Mind you, that's not even touching the surface on what the deficit is in student loans. It's like trillions of dollars. All right. But I highly suggest if you're trying to purchase a home, guys, this is going to be a deal breaker for you, the student loan situation. And if you have to bring your student loan current and you have to pay some substantial money to bring it current, start thinking about where that money's going to come from. Okay. Now, again, I know this is confusing. It's a lot of information, so I understand that. But if you guys have a question or you're in this situation, give our office a call. We can go through the whole process with you and explain to you exactly what's going on, tell you where you stand. Okay. Or we can also do an audit for you where we just call the Department of Education and Navient and we get the full scoop with you on the line. Whichever way you want to do it, if you have a question, comment, drop it below or reach out to our office, 516-568-4541. Schedule a consultation and we will be more than happy to help you address the situation, because the situation is not going anywhere. It's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's getting more and more confusing as new laws are coming out and things are changing. Talk to you guys soon. Have a good day.